They met in 1986, 1989, and now in 2012. The Montreal Canadiens and the Calgary Flames have renewed acquaintances. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Hockey Central tonight. Darren Millard along with Nick Kypreos and Doug McLean. Mike Cammalleri has had a very eventful last 24 hours, blasting off of the organization, management, coaches, and players. Yesterday, the team was not happy with him, but they still dressed him tonight against the Boston Bruins before taking him out and announcing that they had traded the forward to the Calgary Flames. Mike Cammalleri goes back to the team where he led in scoring his only year with the Flames before signing the big money contract with the Canadiens. In exchange, the Canadiens pick up Alberta boy Rene Bourque, also part of the deal. Karri Ramo, who's playing in the KHL with Amgard Omsk. He's a game below 500, but decent numbers, and a fifth-rounder. And for the Montreal Canadiens, they pick up seventh-round draft choice, plays with the Tri-City Americans, Patrick Holland. Significant deal because you have two top six forwards on respective teams, two teams outside the playoff picture, Doug.
Yeah, it makes sense, I guess, when you look at it, that they are top six forwards. I mean, I'm just confused about how it all came about and how the lack of shopping that went on with it. But look, Rene Bourque has been a respectable player for the Calgary Flames. He fits in fine with the Montreal Canadiens. Cammalleri was a star in Calgary, having a horrendous year. I mean, it could work out well for the Calgary Flames. I don't know that it's going to make much difference for Montreal other than clear up cap space, but it may give the Calgary Flames a chance to make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I know there's talk that this deal might have been in motion, what they said beginning of December. I don't necessarily buy that. I've been in this industry a long time, and if Camalleri's name was truly being shopped out there, I think it would have gotten out from various teams. I don't know how hard Gauthier shopped this. But at the end of the day, I like Rene Bourque, but he doesn't have the skill of a Cammalleri, a game breaker like Cammalleri. I think it adds a lot to Calgary, at least for a chance to get them into the playoffs.
The two principals come at it in very different ways. Mike Cammalleri was taken out of a game that he was playing in when he was informed of the trade, and Rene Bourque was sitting out another game of his 5-game suspension when he was told he's headed to Montreal.
It's a big shock. I had no idea that any of this was going on. But if there's any place I want to play, it was Montreal. I've always enjoyed playing there, so I'm happy that I get to go to a place where I enjoy playing and a place where one day I want to play, and now I'm going to get that chance.
Both the Canadiens and the Calgary Flames are outside the top 8 in their respective conferences. Jay Feaster at the start of the season declared that Calgary would make the Stanley Cup playoffs, and that's why he had to make a deal. He shopped Rene Bourque throughout the season and finally found a suitor. He spoke with Roger Millions in the first intermission of the Calgary Flames game against the Anaheim Ducks on Sportsnet West.
Thanks very much, General Manager Jay Feaster. Quite a move. Michael Cammalleri coming back to the Calgary Flames. Rene Bourque going over to Montreal. Young players and picks. How long has this been in the making, this deal? Was it quick? Was it long?
It's taken quite a bit of time, actually. We've been talking, Pierre and I have been talking for quite some time, and the deal has kind of gone back and forth in different formats, and wasn't quite where we wanted it, and it's kind of been on and off the rails a little bit. And last night it heated up again, and we had some more conversations today, and we were able to get something done late afternoon, and then we're able to consummate it as far as the trade conference call tonight.
Michael Cammalleri had his best season as a Calgary Flame. Tell me the appeal for this organization to get him back.
Yeah, he's a dynamic hockey player. He's a highly skilled guy. We believe he's a point-per-game player. He's somebody who clearly is going to help our power play. I mean, when he was here before, 19 of his 39 goals were scored in the power play, and he's a guy who we think just needs a change of scenery. He's a veteran presence in the room, going to add that veteran voice. And what I like is when I phoned him after the deal was done and I said who was calling, the first thing he said before he even said hello was, "What are we, 4 points out?" I mean, he knew. He said, "We play Saturday night, right?" He said, "It's hockey night in Canada." I mean, he was all over it. He said, "How are we doing tonight? We're playing the night, aren't we?" So just, he's excited to come back here, and we're excited to have him.
It doesn't come cheap. Rene Bourque, a solid hockey player for this organization, goes to Montreal.
Yeah, that's the thing. And, the reality of the business is that if you're going to get a quality player, you have to give up a quality player. And, it's difficult to lose Bourque. Candidly, it's difficult to put Patrick Holland in the deal. While he was a 7th-round draft draft pick. We think he's a much better player than that. At the same time, though, we get a player that I'm familiar with from my days in Tampa, a goaltender that we had drafted there and has played. He has some NHL experience, and according to our pro guys in Europe, is the top goaltender in Europe. So, you know, it's tough to give up good players, but you have to if you're going to get good players and assets back.
You've been a busy man, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Ray.
Jay Feaster and the Flames making a major move, getting Mike Cammalleri to come back to Calgary.
They may have been talking for a while, but these were the words from Mike Cammalleri yesterday. I can't accept that we will display a losing attitude as we're doing this year. We prepare for our games like losers. We play like losers, so it's no wonder why we lose. It caused a firestorm in Montreal. Are you surprised the Canadiens as an organization didn't try and save his time with the Canadiens?
Well, you know what? I am surprised, and I think with a lot of organizations, it would have been resolved and worked out. But there's been so much turmoil within the coaching staff. There's been so much with Pierre Gauthier and how he's not around the team and directly involved that it doesn't surprise me that it wasn't. This is a skilled player. This is a player that I'm really shocked that it couldn't have been worked out. But I know Mike Cammalleri. I'm a Mike Cammalleri fan. I like him as a kid, but he is a high-maintenance player. And when things aren't going well for him, he takes up a lot of oxygen in that dressing room. And you know what? Maybe not the easiest guy to work things out with. But again, I think they've given up a good hockey player and got a reasonable player back in Bourque. So I would have worked a little harder to try to work it out.
Yeah, I think it's just too easy for Montreal to make him the scapegoat here. And, you know, you look at the things that have derailed this season. Is it a situation, guys, where it's Mike Camalleri's fault that Markov was signed for over, what, $17 million over 3 years, hasn't played 1 minute at all? No help there. The mockery with Pierre Pern. The mockery with Jacques Martin going in, Randy Cunningworth coming in. All of this falls now on Cammalleri. Everything's fixed now that you got to trade Cammalleri. I get the fact that he was a little emotional. Maybe probably shouldn't have said what he said. But come on, to have a knee-jerk reaction like this, to move Cammalleri out so quickly and make everything all better now that you got Cammalleri out of the room. Sorry, I don't buy it for a second.
And we talked about a similar situation, you and I, earlier, about the Eller deal for Halak. Halak coming off the high of a career, taking this team deep in the playoffs, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, he's moved for Lars Eller when it didn't seem that it was out there. Surprising.
Two biggest pieces from that Stanley Cup playoff run a couple of years ago are now no longer with the Canadiens. All those examples that you cited this year, maybe the most bizarre occurred tonight when Mike Cammalleri started the game in the Habs lineup and then was taken out halfway through.
Yeah, I've never seen it. We've been around the game a long time. I've never had a teammate leave the bench, and he has for obvious reasons. He's injured. I got a call in a little around after 9 p.m. on Eastern to hear that he's left the bench, and I said he's got to be hurt, and it's like, no, he's just been told to leave the bench. And that's when I ended up tweeting out that I believe that there's a trade in the works, and then everything blew up. But Matt, can you recall?
Yeah, I've heard of one situation, and that's with the St. Louis Blues. Scotty Bowman was very upset with Bob Plager, told him to go to the airport, and I'll phone you within 2 hours and tell you where you're traded. Phoned him in 2 hours, told me he changed his mind to come on back. I've never seen it before in my life. It is a bizarre situation.
Honestly.
Is it that ugly that you have to do that to a player? I don't like it.
Here's where, you know, you got to really wonder how long they've been working on this trade. Right. For them now to say that they've been working on this trade since December and then go into a game now where you let the guy take warm-up and play in the first. What possibly could have changed?
Like 9 minutes.
What could have changed between 7 p.m. Eastern and 9 o'clock that you got to pull him off the ice when you've been working on this thing for what they said 6 weeks?
So is the league telling us that while he was playing in that 2 periods, they were doing the conference call, making a trade while he was playing in the game?
That's probably why he had to take him out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Both teams on the ice tonight.
A joke.
The Canadiens taking on the Boston Bruins. Just what